Hi, I'm Elaine from Elaine's Sweet Life. Today I'm going to show you how I create my embroideries, like this mouse, using Premier+2 Ultra on my Mac computer. I also use my iPad and Apple Pencil, and I'll show you how I do that. So I just wanted to start by showing you my setup. I am a Mac user, so this is my Mac desktop, and I am running Premier+2 Ultra, and I will be working in the Create module. Once I have the module up, I add a background for me to work on. So I have created this sketch already. I created it on my iPad using Sketchbook, saved it as a JPEG, and I can now bring it in. And there is a sketch I have made. This is the embroidery I want to digitize. Once I have that background loaded up, it's time to start drawing. Now I like to use my iPad to draw on. I find drawing with the Apple Pencil on the iPad a lot more comfortable than trying to work with a mouse on a desktop computer. But obviously you can't run embroidery software on an iPad, so I found a way around that, and I connect my iPad to my desktop as a second screen. And I use an app called Astropad. So if I open up the app on both my MacBook and my iPad, you can see that the iPad becomes a mirror for what is on my desktop. So now once I've got my screen placed nicely on my iPad, I can pretty much leave the computer alone, pull my iPad up, and then I can work on my iPad. So for instance, I can choose, I want to work with just a running stitch with no fill. I can then draw on my iPad, and as you can see, it does the same on the computer, and that is how I create my embroideries. So now we can get on and I'll show you how I do it. As I said, I am using the Create module, and I'm using the Freehand Create, which is the center icon in the Create mode up at the top. So I'm just scaling and positioning my background in the hoop. And I'm going to be drawing using a running stitch. So I need to turn off the fill and select the running stitch. And I'll be using the Create Area or Line tool. So I'm going to change the color. I don't want blue, so I select Properties and find a black. And now I can begin drawing. So I'm working on my iPad. What you're watching right now is what's happening on my computer screen. So I'm able to naturally use pinch to zoom in on what I'm working on. And now I begin drawing. I try to make as few lines as possible, so I try to keep as many lines joined up, not lifting my pencil as I sketch. I also start and stop my lines wherever possible, as close to the end of the previous line. You'll see the little pink and yellow and blue star shapes. Those show me where the start and ends of lines are. Now I'm going to do the eye, so I want a pattern fill for that. And there's a shine on the eye, so I'm going to use the hole tool to then create a hole in that fill area I just made. I want to edit it a bit, and I prefer using the Bezier line, so I convert it to Bezier line. I feel I have more control over what I'm doing with the lines. Now you can see me drawing on my iPad as well. I do make some adjustments to the nodes as I draw. And once it's completed, I do quite a lot then as well. I want to see how my sketch is coming along, so I'm going to turn the background off. Now I can check that my lights and darks are looking good. Turn the background back on by clicking Fade Background, and then I can choose the opacity I want the background to be. To do the whiskers, I choose to draw it with a double stitch, and I start on the animal's face and draw outwards. So the stitch will go out and back in again towards the face, and the knot will happen in the face of the animal rather than at the end of the whiskers where it may look untidy. I love how adding whiskers to these animals just completely transforms them. Now I'm choosing another color. I did that by clicking on the color plus button at the top left, and I've chosen white. And I'm going to increase the opacity of my background so that I can actually see the lines below the mouse. I've opened a reference picture and just moved it to the side of the screen so I can also see that as I'm working. I actually decided I didn't like the look of the white, so I took them away and replaced them with black. Now I'm making some adjustments to my stitches, so I have selected everything from my sketch except for the pattern fill area, which is the eye. I right click and choose properties and select running stitch, and I can reduce the length of the stitches. This allows curves to look more curved and less pointy and jagged. Now I'm going and just editing the nodes, neatening up my sketch, making it look the way I want it to look. You'll see I convert everything to Bezier lines before I edit it. I'm just copying a couple of the seeds, adding a couple just to make it look a bit nicer. And there we have it. Now it's stitching out. Obviously this is done in high speed. I just love watching my embroidery stitch out. It fascinates me every time. And there we have it, the finished embroidery.